Videos are one of the best ways to get new students for your online course. Today, I'm going to give you 7 ways to get the most out of them. But before we get started, be sure you watch my free masterclass where I share the exact process I took to generate 1 million in sales selling coaching, courses, and digital products. I also break down the 6 steps that I would take to get to my first 6 figures if I were starting from scratch. I'll leave that link in the description. All right, step 1 to create videos for your online course, think like your viewer. So what I mean by this is I want you to think about the person who's actually going to be buying your online course, who's going to be viewing your online course. What did they need to understand before they can become an educated buyer? And I feel like a lot of people miss this point because their goal is to, get people to buy my course. I want to get people to buy my course. But instead of thinking like the buyer, they're thinking like the seller. So I just want you to think like the buyer. Think like the person who's going to be ultimately buying your course. How can you create the most educated buyer? What do they need to know? What questions do they have right now that you can answer? And what I like to do with this is I like to think maybe one step before they even start asking the questions that will lead them to my course. So for example, let's say that you have a course on how to create a YouTube studio or how to set up a YouTube studio or how to become a YouTube star, whatever it is. And the questions that they might have that cause them to buy the course could be something like, what camera should I buy? How do I set up a studio? Or how do I create a profitable YouTube channel? So those might be the questions. But think about the questions that they might be asking before they even get there. And this is where you can really create some really great videos, especially for your YouTube channel, to help people to figure out what they need to know before they even get to that next step. So in this example that I'm sharing, for example, become a YouTube superstar course, which maybe that's a course I should create, maybe not. If this is the example that I'm sharing and we're trying to think of, okay, what's the question that they have before they ask the question of how do I create a YouTube channel? Maybe they want to know, how can I make money online? Or maybe they want to know, what's the best way to break into television? Or like, what questions are they asking that are really prompting them so that they determine, okay, YouTube is my best way to get there. And that's just a simple example, but that's the first step. Step 2, do keyword research. Now, keyword research is important for anyone who wants their content to rank well in search engines. We've got Google, we've got Bing, we actually have Amazon also as a search engine, Pinterest as a search engine. If you want your content to rank highly in those search engines, obviously it's important to do some keyword research. But the most important thing here is to figure out and determine, is your topic that you're creating viable? The title of your video, it should be appealing to the person that's searching for it. You might want to title your video one way, but that's not necessarily what people are searching for, and that's the purpose of keyword research. Now, the way that I like to do this is I use a couple of different tools. I like using vidIQ for researching titles for my YouTube videos. I also like just using the native google.com, obviously. Sometimes I'll do research using a tool called Keywords Everywhere, and I'll put all of those resources and links down in the description. Speaking of marketing tools and tech, if you would like some help with marketing tools and you really would love some click-by-click assistance, maybe you're not super techie, I do host a Tools Day session inside of the Profit Creator community. I will leave details in the description below and how you can join our free Facebook group and free community. Number 3 to create videos to help people come join your online course is to create a mind map. So create a mind map. A mind map is basically like a visual brainstorm. I personally love using mind maps. The software that I use is called Coggle.it, Coggle.it, you can also say, and I've been using this for a long time. So a lot of you guys, if you've seen my training on how to write a webinar in 20 minutes, I've done a lot of different trainings. I use them for my courses, but I also use it to mind map out the topics that I want to do. In fact, today I'm recording about 10 videos, and each of those videos I created from a mind map, me thinking, okay, what are some topics I can create? What are some different tangential ideas that I can do? And that's exactly what I did. So I love creating mind maps. If you need help with mind maps and creating mind maps, once again, I recommend Coggle.it, and you can use that to brainstorm some ideas for your videos. All right, number 4, in order to create video content to bring students into your online course is keep it simple. You know, a lot of times we are very advanced in our topic, and so we have a lot of technical knowledge, or we have more advanced knowledge, and we understand that, you know, if I say this thing, that means, you know, all these other things that you think they should know. But honestly, that new person, they're not going to necessarily know those things. So it's important for you to keep things simple. Instead of saying, okay, set up your YouTube studio. Let's go back to the example I was using. Something like, hey, it's time to set up your YouTube studio. Like, do they even know what a YouTube studio is? Okay, so today I'm going to teach you how to set up your YouTube studio. A YouTube studio is a solid location in your place where you can quickly sit down and record. So that's an example of, you know, some easy ways that you can keep your videos simple so that people are excited to go on this journey. When you decide to learn something new, a lot of times it's scary. You don't really know what you're doing, and you know, you don't want to get it wrong. You want to make sure that you're listening to the right people. You feel unsure, and your videos can really help your clients and your students feel confident, but it's important that you also keep things simple for them. All right, number 5 of our 7 tips is be consistent. Surprisingly, people will watch the exact same video over and over and over again. And I was actually having a conversation with my husband a couple weeks back, and he was like, you've already created this video. Why did you create it again? And I told him, for some reason, even though it's practically the exact same video, it's not identical. It's practically the exact same video, exact same title. And it's very similar. Like, your content just not going to get that old. And I think that as creators, sometimes we get tired of our content before our audience does. And, you know, because we're teaching it and we're going through that process of learning and then putting it back out there and going through that thought process, we're like already over it, right? So like, I had a video on scripting, and I didn't really dive into like how to script and what it was. I just kind of did a couple of sentences. And someone was like, I thought you were actually going to teach me how to script. And I'm thinking, like, I've already done that. I have another video. But you have to understand that people are going to, like, when they find your video, imagine that that's the only video that they found. So therefore, if you talk about a concept that maybe you've discussed in another video, you should refer back to that video. But the key is, be consistent with your content. You can share the same content over and over again and just kind of hit it from a different angle. Number 6, focus on quality over quantity. Now, I will say this with like a little bit of a caveat, which is, if you're not getting started because you're too focused on everything has to be perfect, then you need to just get started. But at some point, you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm just going to start pumping out videos because I want to bring people into my course. And you don't realize that the quality of your videos is also important. So make sure you have a mic so that you have good sound quality. Make sure that you're checking the sound quality so you don't record an entire video with the mic rubbing up against your shirt, which I've done in the past. Unfortunately, I've done it more than once, I'm afraid to say. So, you know, those are things you need to keep in mind. Make sure your lighting is good. I generally record my videos in front of 2 windows. I've got 2 windows here, and I also have my ring light. I actually do little recording so you can see what it looks like, and then have my editor splice it in. But here's window 1. There's the camera and my setup, and then window 2, and then I've got my desk over there and getting ready for the next video. And then I have my notes down here. So just something to keep in mind, that you need to have good lighting, you need to have good audio, and if you need resources on like, okay, what camera do I choose? What mic do I choose? I've actually listed all of my resources in the description box. I have them in every single video because it's a question I get a lot. And I understand that question because I always ask that question. Whenever I saw someone's videos, my first question was like, wow, what camera did you use? And I'll give you the truth. It's not necessarily the camera. Sometimes it's the lens, and other times it's the post-production, the editing process that can really refine things. So don't just focus on, okay, what camera do I need? I use a Sony a6400, and like I said, I've linked all of my details in the description. But I've also recorded videos just with my iPhone. I have 4K option on this iPhone. It's a smartphone. A lot of smartphones now have the option to shoot in 4K. And I also have a webcam that has the ability to shoot in 4K. So there's lots of different options that you can use to record videos. But once again, you need to remember that it's about the content. Be consistent, keep it simple, but also focus on quality over let's just pump out as many videos as possible. So finally, step 7, get feedback. Ask for more video ideas. Make sure that you're not just doing this whole process by yourself, siloed in, and trying to think of what topics people want to hear. I recently asked of my audience, like, what videos do you guys want to watch? What do you want to know more of? Because honestly, I feel like as I've grown in my journey as an entrepreneur, I've gotten more and more away from what people actually need to know right now. Like there's a lot of things that I've learned already. And there's also a lot of things that I've taught already. And I feel like these are things that I've said before, and I've said them in different ways, and I've said them over and over again. And maybe have a blog post already about it, or maybe I have a video that I've already created, or maybe I've created a course already. And for some reason, the questions are still there, and that's fine. And that comes from you understanding that people in your audience are all on different parts of their journey, right? They're all on different parts of their path. If you assume that everybody that was in your audience last year is the same as everybody that's in your audience this year, number one, you're not growing. And number two, you're forgetting the fact that people progress. Some people stay stagnant, but other people progress. So it's important to understand that you've got to get feedback. What topics do you guys want to hear? Speaking of, if this topic was helpful for you, definitely let me know. Subscribe, click the like button so I know that you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend. And once again, if you'd like to learn more about not only how I generated $1 million selling courses, coaching, and consulting, but you want to learn my 6 simple steps to generate 6 figures and basically how I would do it if I were starting from scratch, click the link in the description to watch my free masterclass. If you enjoyed this video, you want to check out my course playlist, create a course playlist. I wish I had a better name for it, but I don't. In there's videos on how to create a course step by step, how to create a landing page inside of Thinkific, a lot of cool videos there. I hope this was helpful for you. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.